Hey guys, Fred Bowler here. Welcome to my channel, The Wildlife Ambassador. And today's topic is going to be offensive/aggressive behavior versus defensive behavior in snakes. And primarily, we're going to use the cottonmouth water moccasin as an example, with a few other species. But the cottonmouth water moccasin is one of the most misunderstood snakes, in my opinion. I believe this is an important topic because it will help you understand the behavior of snakes when you come across them. Many times online, when discussing snakes such as cottonmouth, people just don't understand the differences between aggression and defensive behavior in snakes. And this leads to heated conversations that are really unnecessary if that understanding was there in the first place. First, I'm going to give an example of aggression using humans. What is aggression? An example would be you're minding your own business, walking somewhere, and somebody comes up to you yelling at you or cussing at you because they perceived you offended them in some way, perhaps. There might be a physical altercation, but they're getting up close to you and entering your space. We call that a zone of influence. They're inside that space and they're threatening you in some form or manner. So you end that conflict, right, by whatever, going your separate ways. The next day, you see that same person at a considerable distance, and that person reacts from the conversation you had the day before. And they come at you because they thought of it all over again, and they get upset again, and they may run at you and a fight may ensue. But this thought processes that humans have does not apply to snakes. They don't think that way. They're instinctual. They're all about breeding, eating, and survival. So they assess the situation on how can they get away from it or how can they defend themselves. Snakes are not vindictive, nor do they seek vengeance. I think a lot of people assume that they do, and that of a lot of animals, to tell you the truth. They're not about cognitive thinking of who did them wrong in the past. They use these instincts of survival to judge their immediate scenario. To think otherwise is actually being anthropomorphic. Anthropomorphic. Number one, described or thought of having human form or human attributes. Number two, ascribing human characteristics to non-human things. Now, I don't believe that all animals are the same as far as cognitive thinking, such as we know that bears mourn the death of other bears or mourn the death of their cubs. And then, of course, there are the primates we know share many of our emotions. So snakes do not fall into this realm of thought processes. You can come across let's use cottonmouth, like I said. Come across a cottonmouth, you enter that cottonmouth zone of influence. And that cottonmouth safety zone is what a zone of influence is, whether it knows to fight or flight. Let's say it's 20 feet in circumference. Then that will initiate either a fight or flight response. So the snake does not know your intentions. It's as simple as that. The snake is using its instincts to determine whether it should flee or stand and fight. One of the most common statements I hear and my colleagues hear when discussing cottonmouth is, that cottonmouth tried to chase me, or that cottonmouth chased me. He chased me out of the swamp. He chased me down the park. He chased me across the field. He chased me in my boat. We have been unable to replicate these statements. In my 50 years of working cottonmouth, both professionally and privately, in every single scenario you could think of, up close and personal, approaching, whatever, I have given every chance for a cottonmouth to initiate the chase or a chase, and it has not. Here, I'm moving a cottonmouth out of the roadway into the bush. A procedure where I've that I've done many, many times, and absolutely no problems. In actuality, all of our encounters with cottonmouth have never been a problem with aggression at all. Every single one. And the defensive behavior is really easy to read once you know what you're doing. So I'm simply saying the snake's behavior, cottonmouth behavior in particular, is being misinterpreted through fear, panic, or just plain ignorance of not knowing the species. There's a video of a coral snake coming directly at me. It was crossing the road. It was kind of warm out that day. The road was a little hot. And if you're not familiar with snakes, but you knew enough that you knew that the coral snake was venomous and one of our most potent venomous snakes in North America, one might feel a little uneasy of a snake approaching them this fast. And this is where, if you're not used to snakes and you know very little about them, this might make you very nervous. But in fact, I knew there wasn't any threat. The snake was not coming at me to attack me. It was simply trying to get out of the road. Coral snakes are one of our most docile snakes in North America. And that leads to a false sense of security with some people, and bites have occurred because of such as children putting them in their pockets and showing them to their friends, and then the snake obviously feels like it's stressed out and it's going to get the potential of being eaten or hurt, and then they bite. Now, non-venomous snakes can be far more temperamental than venomous snakes. I don't know if it's the venomous snakes knowing they have the security of venom to be anthropomorphic. That word. But non-venomous have way more attitude oftentimes than venomous. And this is a yellow rat snake that I approached, and he was like, okay, we're out in the open. Bring it on. Yellow rats often have this attitude, but they don't bite all the time, but this is what they can do. And but it's really no big deal. Most of the time when you're dealing with yellow rats, like I got this one out of the road, they're fairly docile, and they might try to sneak a bite only because they're like, let me go, man. I need to go on my way. They don't realize you're doing a good thing for them. And then coach whips are the fastest snake in America. But I scared this one as I walked up. He came around the corner. I came around the corner. And he was like, hey, back off. Hey, get away. And then he just went on his way. And then this is one of my favorites, the hognose snake. We have a couple species in Florida, the eastern and the southern. This is an eastern hognose snake displaying its wonderful threat display. Spreads out like a cobra. They are harmless snakes. I think there are a few bites recorded. I've never heard of any, seen any. I've handled hundreds. I've never been bitten by a hognose. As you can see, this snake doesn't try to bite at all. It just tries to let me know that, hey, I could be a cobra. I have no idea how they know it's to mimic a cobra, because they're from entirely different continents. But it kind of looks like that. Really cool snake. And again, that's his threat display, but totally harmless.